What is up, everyone? We have a new tank, and essentially I want you all to help me pick what goes in it. Now, I've wanted to do a proper community tank for, well, quite some time, to be fair. I do have a big community tank of sort of tetras and cichlids downstairs, but it's all very well doing these small tanks, but you only have 1 or 2, maybe 3 species in there maximum. Whereas this tank is going to allow me to do a mixture, all living in harmony together, and essentially I'm going to get you guys and girls to decide what goes in there. Well, I'm going to put up polls on my Instagram, my Facebook, my YouTube, maybe even my TikTok if I can work out how to do that. I don't know. But look out on my socials because I'll be putting up posts so you can pick what fish are going in here. Now, already the poll for this one, if you're seeing this bit, the poll is already out there. It has already been sorted. And by the end of this video, we'll have essentially the answer to the first fish that are going in here. Now, I want to gear the community around something. So I think we're going to go barbs, tetras, rasboras, or live bearers. I think that's going to be the 4 main choices as the base level of this community. It's going to be the foundation of this community, and it's going to be the starting point. And then week by week, month by month, however often I do the updates, you can all pick what species goes in here next, or at least, well, maybe what type of species. I don't know. Obviously, there is an element of what I can get hold of at the time. Now, the tank I've chosen to do this community in is the Oase Styleline 175. Now, this is a 160 litre aquarium. It is a really cool aquarium, and there is quite a few reasons why I have chosen this. Now, I was hopeful that we were going to be able to do this in the fish room downstairs, my fish garage, as it were. Unfortunately, we have had some problems. Don't worry, it is still coming, but we have had a setback in when we pulled part of the, part of the coverings down from the garage. We found out the window in the back of the garage has no support above it. There is roof beams sitting straight on top of a window. It's not ideal. So I was hoping to be able to do this community tank down there, but we are still a few weeks away from getting into that garage. Now, I digress. The reasons that I wanted this aquarium is because of the size of it, actually. Because of the size of it, it's an 80 centimetre long aquarium, but it's 160 litres. It actually packs more literage than a good majority of the off-the-shelf aquarium kits out there, because it's a little bit higher, a little bit deeper, only by a few centimetres, but it makes a fair amount of difference when you're looking at the litres. Now, I've actually just realised that I might live to regret getting Katie to help me lift this into the fish room, because, well, it's in a box, and the box is underneath the tank, and this might be tricky. I might have to wait for her to come back before I actually get this fully unboxed. But I built the cabinet downstairs, so that's all done. Now, these aquarium sets do come in 2 colours. They come in white and they come in black. I like both colours, and I do quite like the white one. The only reason I've gone for black is I find it easier to film. The white's a little bit glary on camera, so black is just way easier for me to film. I suppose while I'm mentioning the colours, they also come in 3 different sizes. I've gone for the biggest one because, well, you know, any aquarium keeper wants the biggest tank they can possibly fit in. Don't ever make the mistake of building a cabinet downstairs when your fish room is upstairs. Full on mistake, but we're okay. We're absolutely fine now. Now, the other reason I opted for the Oase Styleline is because, well, I've got the Scaper line downstairs, and that is a really decent quality aquarium. It is solid, it's well thought out, and to be honest, we used to sell a lot of these in the shop, so I know this tank really well. Nothing's flimsy, nothing's like plasticky, everything is solid. And, well, I'll show you as we go through the video. While I'm scaping my new aquarium, I'll show you what I mean and just show you how much, well, more well thought out. More well thought out? Is that the right words? Yeah. More well thought out these aquariums are. The other great thing with these aquariums is it comes with, obviously, all Oase products, which by now you'll know I use a lot of them on my aquariums. But you get the BioPlus Thermo filter, so that's the same filter that's in the rummy nose tank, so it's got the heater hidden in behind. You get lighting bars, and if I remember rightly, you can upgrade these. So it comes with 2 lighting bars, so you get a good spread of light all the way over the aquarium. This comes with 2, and you can also upgrade it to hold 4 of these lighting bars. What's that? Oh, that's our lid. Okay, cool. That's our lid with our clips in. Look, that's the 4 clips you can put in. What else have we got in here? I'm sure that's everything. Foam mat to go underneath. That'll be good. Useful. And when I say these tanks aren't plasticky, aren't flimsy, this is what I mean. Now, what does this say? Cable routing only. Okay, cool, we don't need that. These are the lids, and they are solid, like proper solid. So that's what I like about these tanks. They've just thought it through. And I expect, well, if you've got a thin plastic lid on an aquarium, does that mean you get more heat loss through it? This is like glass, so this is a panel of glass with then like a film stuck to it. So does that mean you get a better heat retention through this? I would expect so. Anyway, that's a random thought for the day. Where am I going to put these without stepping on them? Now this is where the trickiness is going to start because, yeah, I thought this would be good to have this up on this stand for the start of the video, but actually I'm starting to regret my decision. But I've just seen my neighbour has arrived home, so he might be getting a knock on the door in a minute so that I can lift this off. If we cut down the corner of this box, I'm hoping that we can remove a bit of it at least and get to the tank. Down there, and ta-da! Yeah, I'm definitely going to need some help lifting this back off in a minute. We're at the point where I've got to swap this sheet of cardboard for this foam pad. I don't think I can do that on my own, so this might be a bit of a cut. I'm going to go and steal my neighbour's probably half hour and get him to help me put this under because, yeah, this is definitely a two-man job. As much as I could probably do it on my own, it wouldn't be safe. So, yeah, let's cut to having this underneath the aquarium. That was definitely easier with two people. Right, now we get all the rest of the equipment on here because I want to get scape in this tank. Look how chunky it is. So excited for this. I was going to start putting all my equipment on here, but I want to put a background on it first. And I've got some of this frosted film. I think that will look really nice with the scape in mind that I've got. I think it will look cool. Black outside, black cabinet with this then quite like bright, airy riverbed style scape. So yeah, I think a bit of frosted background just to stick on the back will finish that off. Now we've got all of the background sorted, we can now sort out the equipment. So this is the same filter that I've got running on my, what is it, Rummy Nose Blackwater aquarium. So I've got this one sat in the back, albeit the smaller one I think, it's the one down from this, the 100. And I just love them because the heater is hidden in the back there, so that's the heater there, so that just slides out. And obviously the filtration pulls the water past the heater. I'm getting all tangled up in my hands here. And this whole fascia, I don't know if I can do this, yeah, magnets off. So then you've got all your filtration in there. So it's really easy to clean because when that's stuck in the bag, pop, straight out the tank, straight back in. So I love these tanks. They've just got such small little clever ideas throughout the whole thing. Now these filters are designed as corner filters, so they are shaped to fit in the corner. I am not going to properly suction cup this one in, I don't think. Oh, I should be able to actually, look. There we go, perfect. So that will sit there nicely out the way. Right, lighting. Now lighting wise, as I say, these come with two LED bars that are, well, really good. I remember running these in the shop and they look really nice and are really quite bright. Now you've got this cool little holder and I'm assuming these, I think, if I'm right, just clip in, yeah. It's been a little while since I built one of these, to be fair, probably about a year, so yeah, nice. And then that slots in underneath the lid. All right, let's get these out the way for a minute. Pop them down out there. And then we should be able to just sit the light bar holder in there. Perfect. Right, now for the light bars. Our tank's in situ, the filter's in, the light units are on, the heater's obviously built into the filter, so we're pretty much ready to start actually scaping this, setting it up and designing how we want it to look. And I have got the biggest boulder downstairs that I want to use as a focal point. That's what I love about using big pebbles and big cobbles, is that for what you pay for them, you get a good amount of hardscape and it's really impactful. And I've got this idea in my head for this riverbed sort of flowing style, lots of little pebbles, medium pebbles, big pebbles, and just making it look like a proper underwater stream. Now I want to start with this absolute monster rock. I want to get this in here, ideally without breaking or scratching my new tank. Whew. We're in, but that is not how I want it. Now I want this rock to actually be stood up, so I've got a load of offcuts of aquarium foam, and I'm hoping to be able to stand this rock up and then wedge them so that, well, it stays upright. I am really loving those trio of rocks together. I think that looks so good. Sometimes the simplest sort of aquascapes are the best. I think we need to get some smaller ones sort of petering down into this corner here, maybe a couple in here. I sort of want a bit of wood, but I'm not 100% sure. I think we're going to get the other cobbles in, the smaller ones, and grade it down, and then we'll have a play with some wood and maybe have a look around and see what I've got kicking about the house. So I think that's our main group of rocks in. I do want to add a load of these little stones, just like dotted around all over the place to sort of blend it down. But I am going to get some sand in there first and then layer them on top. I think that will look better. Now with the main groups of fish going into this tank, well, all being hopefully shoaling fish, because that's the options that I'm going to be giving you on the vote. So we'll see how we do on that. But because they're all going to be shoaling fish, I want to keep a lot of room open up in the top reaches of the aquarium so that you get that cool, like, shoaling, grouping nature. I think that will look really good. Now this is a mixture of fine aquarium sand and a little bit of gravel. Nothing too much, but just enough to give it a little bit of detail. I'm really liking how that's turned out with just the rocks, but at the moment it's looking a bit too like Lake Malawi or, I don't know, Lake Tanganyika. I think we need to bring this in a bit more of a stream riverbed vibe. Now I haven't got a lot of one type of wood, but I have got lots of small bits of multiple types of wood. So I think we're going to go for a mixture of different types of wood and see if we can make it blend. Bits of tree that's broken down, maybe some branches. I think that'll look cool. So I've got some of this wood here, which is like honeycomb or dragon wood, I think people call it. And the other stuff I've got is I've got 2 or 3 pieces of Manzanita wood. They look quite different, but I'm thinking that looks like the trunk of a tree and that looks like the branches. So if we can blend them through this rock, I think that's going to look really cool. Those two different types of wood that we've added now tie this whole thing together. The cool thing with this scape is you take it back 2 steps, so take all the wood away, and you've got yourself a really cool, like Malawi, Tanganyikan, proper rock dweller vibe going on. You then add this Manzanita wood, and that's almost giving you that like aquascaping vibe, because it was quite, I don't know, all in one direction, 2 different types of material. It looked quite aquascapey. And then you add these big chunky bits of, I think it's honeycomb wood, probably a few different types of bogwood and honeycomb wood and stuff, but you add them into it and it takes it into like a nature style aquarium. So yeah, I quite like how we've set this up and how this has gone. Now the next couple of steps is I have to glue all of this wood, because otherwise it is just going to float. Now the good thing is I've got some good contact points on the rocks, so I should be able to glue it fairly simply. Then the next step is to get some plants in here. Now I want to go full epiphyte. I want all epiphyte plants to give us those punches. I want to glue them up on the rocks, on the wood. I don't want to cover the main hardscape, but I definitely want to soften it. I was planning to get this planted in the same day as scaping, but that did not work out. I went off to get some plants, got distracted by other things, as I always do with fish keeping and fish tanks, and yeah, ended up being too late. So, the good thing is though, I only had smaller Anubias, and I was like, that'll work, it'll look okay. But my mind had my heart, no, I don't know. Anyway, my mind and my heart was set on having these bigger leaves at the back, smaller leaves at the front, and it's sort of grading down, as it were. I think that's what I had in my head. And I had no bigger leaved Anubias. Now luckily I have managed to get my hands on a load of big leaved Anubias. So now we can actually do this tank properly how I wanted it in the first place. So yeah, let's crack on with planting. So I've picked up a really nice group of Anubias. So we're going to use this tray to prep them on so that I don't get the lid dirty. So we've got Anubiases like the Barteri, which is this big leafed monster Anubia. I say monster, it's not that big, but it just looks great. I've spilt some sand on it, looks well mucky, but yeah, looks really nice plant. That's the one if anyone's interested. So really cool plant. So that's the ones I was looking for at the back. So continuing on with the big ones, we've got these two as well, which is Heterophila and Congensis. I don't know if it will focus on that for you. Here we go. And this one. But yeah, another 2 big leaved Anubias, which are going to be sort of back to mid-ground really. I've picked up some Anubias Nana, which is like the smaller version of the ones behind you. So that's a nice one. That's going to look good. And then we've got Nana Bonsai, and we've also got Nana Mini. So both of those are slightly smaller leaves. Now I have got a few of each of these, and being epiphytes, I don't need to do anything more than get these pots off, glue them to a stone or a piece of wood, and then drop them in the aquarium. So it's ideal. We should be able to get all of these plants throughout the hardscape with, well, little to no planting. Now when I say planting, obviously these are going to be planted, but they are easier to plant because there's no actual planting into soils, no planting into substrates. They literally need to be tied onto a piece of wood or rock and then dropped into the aquarium. I've got a lot of prep work to do, so we need to essentially get all these pots off, and that's what I say to do it on a tray, because it can be a mucky job. Don't worry if you lose a few roots, it's not the end of the world. And then we need to get all of this rock wool off and get it all cleaned up. Sometimes it's easier to soak these in a bit of water, because then the rock will sort of go soft and you can like comb it out with a pair of tweezers or something. So sometimes it is easier to do that, but we are going to get on and prep all of these Anubias ready to go into the tank. With our first selection of plants prepped and cleaned, most of the rock wool is off of them. Doesn't matter if there's a little bit, as long as the majority is gone. We are going to start gluing these to a few pebbles and a few rocks to get them to sink into the aquarium. That's quite a big bit of rock wool there. Anyway, we're going to get these glued. So all we're going to be using is a cyanoacrylate glue. So this is just a Gorilla Super Glue. It's the gel version because that's easier to use. And all we're going to be doing is getting a little pebble, gluing it to the roots, and then we can use that as an anchoring point to sink this one into the tank. So we've got a little selection of pebbles that we can use. Oh, we want something to dry these roots off with quickly. There we go, we'll use a little towel. No one will ever know. So if we dry off that root a little bit on there, and then all we need to do, get our Gorilla Glue. Oh, hang on. Let's get the glue into the top first, actually. There we go, that's better, right. And then all we need to do, this is where I stick my fingers to pebbles and plants, really. It's always what happens. Maybe there's no glue left in this one. I swear there's glue in here. There is. There it is. A little bit of glue. And then a little bit of plant. Hold that down, stick my thumb to it, and we should be stuck on. Right, now to do, I don't know, what have we got? 5 others here, maybe another 10 or so like this. And that will give us enough plants to go in this tank. So that's a load of our smaller Anubiases glued onto these pebbles, and they seem to be holding, which is always a bonus. My gluing skills have been questioned in recent videos, but we won't go into that. Anyway, we're ready to start planting these. Now, some of the bigger ones I've actually left without any pebbles glued to them, and I'm hoping to be able to just wedge them between the rocks. Obviously, they don't need to be anchored in. As long as they hold themselves there when the water goes in, then eventually they will root to the rock or the wood or whatever you place them on. So some of them we are just going to go with trying to wedge them into a gap. Other ones I have glued to rocks. So this is our starting point. I've probably got another half a dozen Anubiases downstairs that we can start using if we need to, but we'll see where we get to on this. So there's all the planting done. I ended up using a few more pots than I was going to. I actually used 6 pots from a future project that I had lined up and I'd already bought the plants for, but I think it looks better. I think it looks way, way better with more planting. In total, it's about 22 pots. I mean, you definitely could go more, you definitely could go less. It just depends on your planting style and how much you want it. The good thing with the Anubias is they don't grow quick, but they are super robust and super tough. So they're just going to sit there and last. And yeah, you're very hard pushed to unalive an Anubias. They are really robust. I can already tell with the Oase light bars on here that these plants are just going to pop. Those emerald greens are going to look really nice. Now next up is, in theory, filling, but I do want to do one little thing before filling this tank, and that's add a tiny bit more detail now all the plants are in. And what I mean by detail is I've got this little bag of pea gravel so you can sort of see all the different grain sizes, all the different colours. Now I'm going to give that a wash off and then I'm just going to scatter some in amongst the other pebbles. Just gives that grading. You've got sand, you've got little pebbles, bigger pebbles, boulders. Just gives you that riverbed feel. So a little touch of this and then we can get this tank filled. As with anything going into the aquarium, it is always worth giving it a rinse off first before you chuck it in to get rid of any dust. And let's just get in and scatter some of this about. And then I think we're ready to get the hose pipe out. So with the scatter gravel in, we are ready to start filling this tank up. So, is it on minimum? Yeah, we're on minimum. Here we go. That's not minimum. That's minimum. So we are completely filled now, and we only had one floaty plant, which isn't too bad. So we'll pop him back in there. Is that going to stay? There we go, perfect. Now we are ready to get the filter running. Now I do love this filter for the fact that these magnets, look, you just pull that off, the whole filter casing lifts out, and I want to show you something that makes this filter different to a lot, is that when you lift it out of the water, hardly any water comes out the bottom. When I say hardly, it's just what's running off the outside. Each of these containers holds the water inside the filter, so when you pour it, it all comes out. But that means when this is full of fish waste and you lift it out the water, all that fish waste doesn't spill back into the aquarium, which is a really clever design. And obviously the magnets are super, super cool. Now let's pop that back in. Magnet that on. What's the heater set to? Oh, it's set to 26, so let's turn that one down a little bit. We'll go down to, let's go down to 22 for the minute, because I don't know what species we're keeping in here yet, due to you guys and girls all voting for what we're keeping. So, 22 degrees on the heater, filter nozzle is there. Right, we are ready to turn this filter on. I don't know where the plug is. Here we go, let's get this filter plugged in and turned on. That is a decent flow. One other little feature of this filter that I do want to show you, other than the magneted front filter panel and the heater being built into the back, which are all really cool features. This one, if you turn this dial, you have a spray bar built in a corner shape, so you get flow coming down through the aquarium and you get flow towards the front glass, which is ideal. Obviously normally I'd run this a little bit lower, because it is a little bit noisy like that. But you could run it above the water if you wanted to, won't hurt. But I like it like that, so it's giving good surface agitation and it's giving flow around the whole aquarium. Now the last couple of things to do before leaving this tank to mature is some tap safe to get rid of all those heavy metals and chlorines. And also some filter bacteria so that it starts cycling the aquarium and maturing it. So all that's left to do now is wait for this tank to mature a little bit. Probably a week to 10 days should be enough. And then we should be ready to get our first group of fish in here, which you all are voting for. And you might have voted for by this point in this video. I'm not 100% sure when I'll put the post out. But by the end of this video, you will have all chosen what are the first fish to go in here. So really exciting. I'm looking forward to it. But we're just going to let it mature now, let it settle for a week or so, and then we'll bring you back to see how it's doing. I may put a bit of mature media from one of the other tanks in here because it'll just help the cycle along. Not that it will probably need it with that filter pumping away like it is, but it might just help it. Anyway, I'll see you in about a week. It has been about 10 days since you last saw this aquarium and we filled it all up, and the water quality is spot on. We've tested it all up this morning. Everything is testing fine. It is important to test your tanks before you're putting your first fish in there to make sure everything's going all right. Normally fish shops will test it if you ask them nicely, or you might need to pay a small fee, but it is worth getting your own test kit at home. But the water quality is spot on. That Oase filter is doing amazingly. I haven't actually cleaned it out yet, and the spray bar is still pushing water around really quickly. I've also seen a few new leaves coming through on the Anubiases and starting to unfurl and open up, so I'm really chuffed with that. These Anubias seem to be really happy under this lighting, so yeah, we are ready for the fish. Now luckily I have already been out to the shop this morning because I had some other stuff to do, so I raced out to the shop this morning, had a chat with Martin at my old shop, and we have picked out, oh, I haven't told you what the winner was of the poll, of the vote for what fish go in here. So anyway, we put out a vote or a poll on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I think that's the three of them. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Anyway, couldn't work out how to do it on TikTok. There is a way, but I'll work that out for the next fish that go in there. But the fish type that won the vote by quite a lot of votes, actually, were barbs. Loads of you have said that barbs don't get enough love, they don't get enough publicity, I suppose you would say. So we are going to be doing a barb community in here. So this morning we have picked out 2 species of barbs that were named quite a few times in the comments of the vote, and we have got them ready to go in. So I'm going to go grab them and we'll start getting them acclimatised to the tank. Now, because these fish have come from the shop, they'll be a little bit stressed out. It's a new environment, they've got to be acclimatised. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to turn the lights out so it gives them a little bit more of a subdued acclimatisation. So the 2 groups of fish that were named in the comments quite a lot, first ones were these little guys. Now these are gold barbs, so they are like a proper aquarium classic. They have been in the hobby for quite some time, so they're going to be really cool. And the other barb that we decided to go for that was named quite a few times, and they're going to be really hard to see because they're a little bit smaller, are checkered barbs. So sort of the same size as a cherry barb at the moment. Females and males. Males get orange fins, and as the name suggests, they get cool little checkerboards down their sides. So we're going to get both of those groups acclimatised, maybe give them sort of 15-20 minutes to temperature equalise, and then we'll roll down the sides and start dipping some of our aquarium water in. But I can already tell they are going to look great. So they've had a bit of time to equalise temperature now, so what we're going to do is we're just going to release the top of the bag. Now there is a whole acclimatisation video on my channel if you want to watch this in depth, but I won't go over it in depth in this video. But we are just going to roll the sides down from the bag and get them acclimatising. And then same with the big one. So these fish have had about an hour and a bit now to acclimatise. We've been dropping water in there every so often, and they seem to be chilled out and ready to drop into the aquarium. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to net them out of the bag. I don't really want that water going in the tank because they have been in there a little while now, and obviously they'll have been going to the toilet in this bag, and we don't want that muck going into the tank. Really, the majority of the time you don't want to be putting fish tank water from the shop into your tank. The problem being is it could be harbouring all sorts of nasties. They've been going to the toilet, as I say, and you really don't want that in your aquarium. So this is the first group going in. These are the gold barbs. Oh, they're going to look so good. Already the colours are looking good and they're not even settled. Oh, I missed one. I only put 5 in. Hang on. That's the only problem with netting out of a bag, is it can be tricky. But at least this shows you exactly how I would normally do this sort of thing. There we go, that's much better. There we go, little chap. Right, that's all 6 of them in. Let's get the other checker barbs in now. So I don't know if I've said about numbers yet, but we have got a group of 6 of the golden barbs, and then we've got a group of 10 of the checker barbs. Now, I did ask for, I think, 6 females of the checker barbs and 4 males, so we should have a nice little group of the ones with orange fins and then a nice little group of the females with like the sort of yellowy orange fins, so it should look really good. Get that last little group out. I think I've done that in 2 netfuls. We're going to give these fish a little bit of time to settle down and find their way around the aquarium. It'll probably take them a few hours to get their bearings and work out where everything is and where the good hiding spots are. I can already see the gold barbs are out and about at the front right this second, and they don't seem to care too much. The checker barbs are a little bit more lurking in amongst the plants, so I quite like that though. If we can keep those 2 sort of, I don't know, characteristics going, with the gold barbs being out and the checkered being in the plants, I think that'll work quite well. But anyway, we're going to give them a couple of hours to settle down, and I'll bring you guys and girls back once they're a little bit more coloured up and we can turn these lights on fully. I'm excited to see them. And also, it's really hot in the fish room today. Running all these tropical tanks in a small room, it's not ideal. I really can't wait to get the garage done. Anyway, I'll bring you back in a minute. So we've given these fish a little bit of time to settle down, and they are looking so good. the different characteristics are quite cool. I'm not too sure if that'll change going forward, but the gold barbs are definitely the bravest, being out at the front all the time and sort of hanging around in the open area. And the checker barbs like to be in and amongst the plants and in amongst the rocks. If they keep those characteristics, it's going to lend for a really cool aquarium because you'll get two proper different personalities. Now obviously you guys and girls chose the barbs as the first fish in here, and that's what's going to happen next. I'm going to leave a comment in the comment section. Don't know what I'm going to put in it yet, but it will say something about dropping your favourite fish to add to the, I don't know, the poll, the vote for next time. I'm thinking coolie loaches, I'm thinking possibly hillstream loaches, I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe a small species of gourami, I don't know. But drop them down in the comments. There'll be a comment pinned to the top from me talking about what species you want to go in here next, and we'll use that as the basis for the vote for the next fish. I'm so happy with the Oase Styleline as well. Not being in the shop and not working around these tanks every day, all day, I sort of forgotten some of the little things and little bits and pieces that these tanks have, but I want to show you them actually. Let me show you them now before I forget. Now you will already know that I absolutely love the filter that's in here with the heater built into the back. The light units are lovely, like just look at that colour and how those plants look underneath this light. They are so nice. Now I'm not going to be upgrading this to 4 lights because, well, let's be honest, I don't need that with Anubias, but maybe for the next tank if we strip all this out when we get bored of it, and then maybe we can do some more intense light plants. I don't know, we'll see what the future holds. But the other thing I really like about this is how they've cut the glass here and here to have the inlets and outlets, so you could upgrade this to an external filter with little to no issues. There's no cutting of plastic like some other brands. It is just ready and raring to go, and you've got the other cut out this endlet, so it's just nice. All of this is metal. The glass lids are, I swear, are keeping more heat in and making the heater not work as hard because, yeah, they're just thicker than the cheap plastic. And the other thing, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get far enough back in my fish room to show you this. I'm going to have to lean back against these tanks. When you have the lid shut, the handle is on one side, but there's no handle on this side. And I was like, why? But that's because then you can't see this handle when you're sat down at your sofa looking at your fish tank. The handle disappears and it essentially looks like a photo frame, and it doesn't spoil your view of the aquarium. I don't know if that was on purpose, but it feels like it was. Why would you put a handle on that one and not on that one? It just makes sense. So I hope you've enjoyed this one. I had a lot of fun building this one. It's a little bit different to the other ones I've done, especially with the one species of plant, and also letting you guys and girls pick and essentially having discussions with you all on social media about what species and hearing your ideas and hearing what fish you'd like to see in there. That really was quite a lot of fun. So make sure you drop into the comments here to post what fish you think would go well in here as the next fish. Maybe a focal point fish, maybe some catfish or some loaches or something like that to go in the bottom. Maybe even some more barbs. If there's a nice barb that you can think of, maybe I'll try and hunt down that. Obviously I've got to be able to find them locally to get them, but I will try my best. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun, and I will see you in the next one.